human brain is about the size of a medium cauliflower, measuring roughly 15 centimeters or 6 inches in length. It typically weighs approximately 1.3 to 1.4 kilograms. It is surrounded and protected by cerebrospinal fluid which cushions the brain and helps to remove waste. Here is a brief overview of all parts of the brain. We will discuss every part in more detail later in the video. Cerebrum. Responsible for higher cognitive functions, cerebellum, coordinates motor movements, balance, and posture. Brainstem. Controls heart rate, breathing, digestion, and sleeping. Thalamus. Acts as a relay center, directing sensory and motor signals to the appropriate parts of the cerebral cortex. Hypothalamus. Regulates hunger, thirst, body temperature, and the release of hormones. Limbic system. Contains structures like the amygdala and hippocampus and is responsible for emotions, memories, and certain aspects of behavior. Pituitary gland. Releases hormones that regulate several physiological processes, including growth and metabolism. Basal ganglia. Is a group of nuclei that play key roles in movement regulation, habit formation, and certain aspects of cognition and emotion. Corpus callosum. Facilitates communication between the left and right sides of the brain. Ventricles. Produce and circulate cerebrospinal fluid to cushion the brain and remove waste. Now we will discuss all these parts in a bit more detail to understand what are these and how they work. Cerebrum. The cerebrum is the largest part of the human brain, accounting for approximately 85% of its weight. It is responsible for most higher-order cognitive functions and can be described in further detail as follows. 1. Hemispheres. The cerebrum is divided into two symmetrical halves, known as the left and right hemispheres. These two halves are separated by a deep groove called the longitudinal fissure but are connected by a thick band of nerve fibers known as the corpus callosum. Left hemisphere is typically associated with logical thinking, analytical processing, and language. In most right-handed individuals, the left hemisphere is dominant for language. Right hemisphere is more involved with creativity, spatial ability, artistic, and musical skills. It also plays a role in interpreting visual information and processing emotions. Lobes of the cerebrum. The cerebral cortex, the outer layer of the cerebrum, is divided into four main lobes. Frontal lobe. Parietal lobe. Temporal lobe. Occipital lobe. Frontal lobe, located at the front of the brain, it's responsible for executive functions such as reasoning, decision-making, planning, and problem-solving. It also oversees voluntary movement, speech production, and aspects of personality and behavior. Parietal lobe. Positioned behind the frontal lobe and above the temporal lobe, it processes sensory information from the body such as touch, taste, and spatial positioning. The somatosensory cortex, which maps tactile information from the body, is located in this lobe. Temporal lobe. Found on the sides of the brain, near the ears, it's associated with processing auditory information, understanding language and the formation of long-term memories. It also has roles in recognizing faces and processing emotional responses. Occipital lobe. Located at the back of the brain, it's primarily responsible for vision. This includes processing visual information from the eyes, interpreting colors, and recognizing shapes and movement. Gyri and sulci. The surface of the cerebrum is highly convoluted, consisting of ridges, gyri, and grooves, sulci. These convolutions increase the surface area of the cerebrum, allowing more neurons to fit in and enhancing cognitive abilities. Cerebral cortex. This is the outermost layer of the cerebrum and is composed of gray matter. It is densely packed with nerve cells and is responsible for higher cognitive functions, including thinking, perceiving, producing and understanding language. The thickness and structure of the cerebral cortex can vary across individuals and has been associated with various cognitive abilities and personality traits. White matter. Located beneath the cerebral cortex, white matter is made up of myelinated or insulated axons, which are nerve fibers that connect different parts of the brain to each other. The myelin gives this region its white appearance and helps accelerate the transmission of signals between neurons. Basal ganglia. Though often considered separately, the basal ganglia are a group of nuclei deep within the cerebrum. They play a crucial role in movement regulation, habit formation, and certain aspects of cognition and emotion. Limbic system. Also nested within the cerebrum, this system comprises the amygdala, hippocampus, and other structures vital for emotion, behavior, and long-term memory. The cerebrum, with its intricate structures and networks, is central to human consciousness, enabling us to think, learn, create, and experience emotions. It remains a focal point in neuroscience research as we strive to unravel the mysteries of human cognition and behavior. Cerebellum. The cerebellum, often referred to as the little brain due to its appearance and size relative to the cerebrum, is an essential structure located underneath the occipital lobes of the cerebrum at the back of the brain. Here's a detailed breakdown of cerebellum. Structure and functions. The cerebellum is divided into two hemispheres, similar to the cerebrum, and has a finely convoluted surface, which helps maximize its surface area. These convolutions are made up of folds known as folia. In the middle, a narrow worm-like structure called the vermis connects the two hemispheres. The cerebellum plays a key role in fine-tuning motor activities. While the cerebrum might initiate a movement, the cerebellum makes adjustments to ensure the movement is smooth and precise. It helps maintain balance and proper posture, particularly when the body is in motion. The cerebellum is essential for tasks that require practice and repetition, such as riding a bicycle or playing a musical instrument. More recent research has revealed the cerebellum's involvement in certain cognitive and emotional functions. This includes processes like attention, language, and regulating fear and pleasure responses. Layers. The cerebellar cortex, which is the outer layer of the cerebellum, is made up of three distinct layers. Molecular layer. The outermost layer containing few neurons but many extensions from other cells. Purkinje layer. Contains Purkinje cells, large neurons that send inhibitory projections to the deep cerebellar nuclei. Granular layer. The innermost layer made up of tiny granule cells that send excitatory projections up to the molecular layer. Deep cerebellar nuclei. Embedded within the cerebellum are clusters of gray matter known as the deep cerebellar nuclei. These serve as the primary output cantors of the cerebellum, communicating its processed information to other brain regions. Peduncles. The cerebellum communicates with other parts of the brain via three paired structures known as peduncles. Superior cerebellar peduncle. Connects the cerebellum to the midbrain and thalamus, primarily carrying output from the cerebellum to other brain regions. Middle cerebellar peduncle. Connects the cerebellum to the pons and is the primary input route to the cerebellum. Inferior cerebellar peduncle. Connects the cerebellum to the medulla oblongata, facilitating both input and output between the cerebellum and other brain regions. Despite cerebellum's smaller size compared to the cerebrum, the cerebellum contains more neurons and plays a crucial role in a variety of tasks, ensuring they are executed with precision and grace. Brainstem. The brainstem is located at the base of the brain. It serves as the bridge connecting the cerebrum and cerebellum to the spinal cord. The brainstem is critical for basic life functions, such as breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. It's involved in reflexes, including those that regulate balance and hearing. It plays a role in regulating the sleep-wake cycle. The brainstem serves as a conduit, with ascending tracts transmitting sensory information to the brain and descending tracts sending motor information to the body. Cranial nerves 3 through 12 originate from the brainstem, controlling functions such as facial expressions, swallowing, and sensation in the face. Here's a detailed look at brainstem. Components. The brainstem can be divided into three main structures, each with specific features and functions. Midbrain or mesencephalon. The most superior portion of the brainstem, the midbrain, is located beneath the thalamus and above the pons. Prominent structures include the cerebral peduncles, which contain motor and sensory tracts, and the corpora quadrigemina, composed of the superior and inferior colliculi. The superior colliculi are involved in visual reflexes, while the inferior colliculi are associated with auditory processing. The midbrain houses the red nucleus, involved in motor coordination, and the substantia nigra, which plays a role in reward and movement. The midbrain contains nuclei for cranial nerves 3 and 4. Pons. Positioned between the medulla and the midbrain, the pons appears as a bulging region on the anterior part of the brainstem. It primarily acts as a relay station, transmitting information between the cerebrum, cerebellum, and spinal cord. The pons also plays a role in regulating the sleep-wake cycle and houses nuclei for cranial nerves 5 through 8. Medulla oblongata. Located closest to the spinal cord, the medulla oblongata is the most inferior part of the brainstem. It regulates several vital and involuntary functions. Just blood pressure, respiration. Any significant damage to this region can